August of 1942 marked the beginning of a long and tragic World War II battle in Stalingrad, Russia, between Nazi Germany and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, otherwise known as the USSR. The Germans attacked Stalingrad, wanting to gain transportation routes and to overtake their factories. The Battle of Stalingrad was one of the most important confrontations in history, and although the death toll reached over 1 million, the final outcome was a significant turning point and triumph for the Allies. World War II was bloody. It scarred soldiers mentally and physically. It caused the death of tens of millions of citizens and soldiers. People lived in fear that any day might be their last.
Europe?
Huh?
Were you kind of excited to get to go to Europe as opposed to just...
Oh, I don't know those or not. Don't even remember. Don't even remember what the name of the boat was. but they hauled us in there, and there's 8,500 nurses on that board, and just a handful of those guys. And
So it was a pretty good trip then.
yeah,
It was a bunch
Jesus
of
Christ,
ladies.
yeah. And they unloaded us in Liverpool, and eventually they shipped me over to Southampton. And that time they was just bombing the hell out of that town, the Germans were. And it was an everyday affair. Just we get used to it after a while,
There were many critical battles during the war, such as the Battle of Kursk, D-Day, Moscow, and the Battle of Berlin. However, the Battle of Stalingrad stands out due to the brutality and 7-month duration of the conflict. Before the Battle of Stalingrad, the Germans were winning the war. Germany's Wehrmacht forces, which consisted of the Army, the Kriegsmarine Navy, and the Luftwaffe Air Force, had taken much of what is now Belarus and Ukraine and were only expanding their territory. Adolf Hitler, Germany's dictator, wanted to attack southern Russia in the summer of 1941. This plan was known as Operation Barbarossa. Hitler wanted the area's oil-rich land and to enslave the native Slavic people to support the German war effort. Originally, Hitler planned to send a group called Army Group South to attack the Caucasus, a region in southern Russia. This plan was called Operation Blue. He altered his plan because he believed sending all of his army might invite encirclement, which means to get surrounded by the enemy. It was this change that caused the Battle of Stalingrad. Hitler split his troops into two groups, Army Group South A and Army Group South B. Army Group South A consisted of the 17th Army and 1st Panzer Army. They would attack the Caucasus region as originally planned. Army Group South B would attack Stalingrad. Upon taking Stalingrad, Hitler wanted all of the city's male residents killed and its women deported. The Soviets had already defended against German attacks along the western part of the country from Operation Barbarossa, but had experienced major losses in weaponry, manpower, and resources. The Soviets should have surrendered, but given that the city bore its leader's name, Joseph Stalin knew Germany would use the surrender for propaganda purposes. Additionally, surrender would mean Germany using the city's protection potential to produce guns, ammunition, and food for its military. It became vital to protect the city at all costs. On August 23, 1942, German forces attacked. Initially, the Soviets slowed them down on the north side of the city, but in doing so, lost nearly 200,000 soldiers. The city's main river, the Volga, an important shipping route for the Soviets to deliver supplies like ammunition and guns, was also in danger. The Luftwaffe entered soon after the initial attack by Army Group South B and attacked ships crossing the river. The Germans sank Soviet supply ships and within a month had essentially controlled the skies over Stalingrad. The Soviets were desperate, so they sent residents of Stalingrad to fight. The battle became so intense that at the peak of fighting, the average life expectancy of a Soviet soldier was a mere 24 hours. The city's residents were forced to stay in Stalingrad because Stalin thought it would make the soldiers more determined to fight, as they were not only protecting themselves, but citizens as well. It appeared Stalingrad would be seized. However, Soviet generals Georgy Zhukov and Alexander Vasilevsky had an idea to encircle the city in a plan called Operation Uranus. The Soviets made a defensive ring around Stalingrad to stop supplies from entering the city. The plan worked, and the German army slowly starved. Germany tried to help the army group by sending troops to attack the Soviets who had encircled them. This plan was called Operation Winter Storm and took place in late November. This plan was unsuccessful because the Soviets fought back until the Germans gave up. The German army group remained trapped. With Army Group South B under control, the Soviet Union launched a second offensive on December 16th called Operation Little Saturn. The plan aimed to enlarge the area controlled by the Soviet Army and to deplete the German supplies. The fighting made Germany move their front line about 250 kilometers away from Rostov, the city they were in at the time, which was advantageous to the Soviets because they could concentrate on the fighting in Stalingrad. The attack severely weakened the Luftwaffe, which was the trapped German soldiers' last hope of escaping, because the Luftwaffe could transport supplies through the air. They were unaware of their predicament and believed help was on the way, but the reality was they would likely die there. Winter approached. Trapped and lacking supplies to protect them from the harsh cold and starvation, surrounded by Operation Uranus' soldier ring, the Germans realized their final options. With little protection from the cold and minimal food, the trapped German soldiers would be captured by the Russians, die of disease, or starve to death. Thus, in opposition to Hitler's objectives, 23 generals surrendered on January 31st, and 3 days later, on February 2nd, 1943, what was left of the 4th and 6th Armies surrendered as well. Germany's military was weakened greatly by this loss. Before the Battle of Stalingrad, they were very strong and feared. They had taken Poland within a month and Luxembourg and Belgium within a few days. But after they lost hundreds of thousands of men, they had nowhere near the power they had before this attack. This was the first significant loss for the Germans, and the first loss they publicly acknowledged by Adolf Hitler. This attack greatly impacted the residents of Stalingrad. It is estimated that 40,000 citizens died and more than 250,000 corpses were found scattered all over the city. The Battle of Stalingrad is considered a crucial turning point of World War II. The win boosted the Allies' confidence while deflating the Germans. As a result of this, future battles were affected. Germany lost more battles, while the Allies triumphed. The Germans did not advance any further into the Eastern Front after the Battle of Stalingrad, and because of its weakened military, the Allies' powers pushed Germany back into the countries it had seized earlier during the war. The Allies also split Germany into East and West Germany and was controlled by France, America, England, and the Soviet Union because of the agreement at Yalta and Potsdam. The Battle of Stalingrad was an important battle. Germany could have expanded its grasp and possibly won World War II. Many European countries we know today may not exist, such as Poland, Luxembourg, and Belgium. Germany may have continued to exist under dictatorship and all of the harsh rules that came with it. The Battle of Stalingrad has many residual effects on life today. For example, Germany would never have been split into East and West Germany because they would not have lost the war, so all of the tragedies associated with the Berlin Wall would never have occurred. In addition, those millions of people who died could still be alive today and wouldn't have died at the hands of someone they didn't even know. The Battle of Stalingrad, a tragic and brutal battle resulting in more than 1 million lives lost, is remembered as a triumph for Russia. They defeated a powerful army in a battle that ultimately contributed to Germany's eventual demise and turned the tide against Axis powers, giving momentum toward Allied victory. The heavy casualties, the constant retreat, the shortage of food and munitions, the difficulty of receiving reinforcements, all of this had a very bad effect on morale. Many longed to get across the Volga to escape the hell of Stalingrad.